Hi, I'm Matt Rickerby, and I am the Director of Marketing at Skew. We're an operations platform focusing on inventory and order management, and we rock at product bundling. Of course, I could give you a demo and blow your socks right off. What demo doesn't do that? But no, instead, I'm not going to focus on how it solves those operational hurdles so easily. Instead, I'm going to give you 5 tips, 5 strategies that you have to follow if you want to be good at product bundling. And then I'm going to give you 5 things you got to look at from advanced analytics or analytics. You got to just pull these things somewhere. You got to get these answers if you want to create a great data-driven product bundling strategy. So without further ado, we only got a few minutes here. I want to make this as tight as possible. We're going to talk about those things to look up. Number 1 is your best and worst sellers. You don't have to have Skewbana to have this, even though it helps. You want to go in, you want to pull your top and your worst sellers, and you want to pair them together, and you want to create product bundles. You don't want to just do anything, of course. You want to make sure you're creating good companions, things that go together. You can do this through buyer personas, and you can think about segments where it makes sense to put these things together. But you need to know which are your top and your worst sellers. And your worst sellers aren't necessarily bad products. Though they often are. They're things that need to get off the shelf because they're dead stock, they're costing you money being stored at a 3PL or even just in your own warehouse. We know that costs money. It's inventory holding cost. We use that term, right? A data point you can find in some great platforms. So anyways, we want to take our worst sellers and we want to pair them with our top sellers to move them out the door, get them off the shelves of your warehouse. But we also want to take a different kind of worst seller. We've got a lot of inventory in our warehouse, hopefully from a new product line, because we're always innovating, right? So we want to move that off the shelf. You've got a great product launch strategy. I'm sure every time when you launch, you've got email and social. You're pushing these things out and you're doing digital ads and you're spending a lot of money on it, except maybe you haven't considered product bundles. People are already flocking to your top pages. I'm sure that 80% of your customers buy 20% of your product. Bundle with those and get some movement on these items and get some reviews. People review the individual item if you incentivize them, if you push them to, if you promote that page where they can leave it, rather than continuing to compile reviews just on that top selling product, which maybe already has tons of UCG. All right. Number 2, we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to look at annual growth. Worst sellers, that something might not be a worst seller yet. Maybe it's on its way to a worst seller. So we want to look at its depreciation and value, its cost, its overhead cost of storing that inventory, and how much it tends to make you while it's sitting there in any given month. It could be going down over time. Harder metric to pull. From just anywhere. Maybe you have some really cool spreadsheets where you're doing this. But anyways, you want to look at that trend over time. Don't just push worst sellers when they're worst sellers. Push them before. Get that product ready. Think about it as a launch. You're going to get all this stuff off your shelves, especially before the holidays, where you want to replenish with a bunch of stock that you know is going to move. So annual growth rate, super important number to use. The third one is Skew Profitability. Skew Profitability goes a bit deeper. We don't always just want to push our top sellers. Sometimes our top sellers have really thin margins, right? And we're discounting sometimes 10, 20%. And then if you throw the discount that comes from a product bundle, you could be losing some money. And specifically, you could be losing money on certain channels. And that's why we use tip number 4. We want to look at our listing profitability. That is a layer deeper, right? It's our SKU profitability, but on a per channel basis. If you're just selling on one channel, I guess don't worry about this, but it is something to think about as a multi-channel seller. You want to figure out if something is costing you, like maybe it doesn't make sense to sell a certain product bundle on a certain channel. Maybe Amazon's fees cut into your margins a little too much to sell a bundle on Amazon. Although generally speaking, Amazon is a great place to sell bundles. Number 5, trending profitability. So not just what to sell, we want to know when to sell certain things. Product synergy, that companionship that we're trying to find when we do some of these other reports and this other research, that changes over time. That's why you're going to see sort of incongruous data. During the holidays, certain things just tend to go together for whatever reason. And I think product bundles are a much bigger deal during the holidays for gift givers. When we look at that persona, somebody who's trying to hit a $75 mark, right? Last year, Fred from work, he got you a $75 gift. You don't know why he spent that much, but he did. And this year he's going to spend the same amount. You looked like a schlub last year when you gave him, $30 crappy gift. So he likes this one thing. It's this gym bag. It's $45. You got to go a little above and beyond. The site you go to, they built a great product bundle. It's right at that $70 mark. So you're saving a little bit of money. And you're able to give him something he wants. Booksellers do this all the time. They throw genres together because they know you don't know about that specific mystery, teen romance, vampire, werewolf drama collection and which authors you should be looking for. They bundle it together so you can hit that right number for that gift. There are other ways that this becomes important, but again, look for product synergies over time. Look at common carts that happen, earlier in the year, in the spring, in the summer, and in the fall, and of course during the holidays. Super important. Okay, great. So we've got those numbers to look at. Hopefully that informs our strategy a little bit more than just thinking about buyer personas, although highly recommend doing those as a practice no matter what. And we want to dive into our strategy. Strategy number one, this one seems kind of obvious. In fact, all these seem obvious, but I bet you're missing at least one of them if you're doing product bundles today. That's that you want to create something diverse. You want to create enough packages that you actually learn something. You roll one out at a time, you're not going to learn how that differs. We know that those product synergies change over time. So that seasonality is going to affect like the idea of a test in January versus testing something else in February. Roll enough out, base it on data, but roll enough out to where you learn something, but not so many that you don't get enough traffic to them. And I'll reach that with our third tip here in our strategies. So number two, emphasize savings. It's surprising how little this is done or just how poorly this is done. People are buying bundles almost always because there's that slight discount. Otherwise, they would just add these two products together. Not as good of an experience, but generally speaking, it's that money they're saving. So why aren't you talking about it? You want to do it in one of two ways. There's really only two ways to do it: a percentage or an actual dollar amount saved. So if you're going to test this, and you should be testing most things with your user experience, you want to test that percentage versus that dollar amount. And it probably will make a difference depending on how else you talk about promotions. And once you settle on a way to do it, stick with it, keep it consistent across the user experience. That's going to be important. Number three, you want to offer these at the checkout counter. This is something we see all the time in retail. How many times you've been to the grocery store, you're standing behind somebody, you got a lot of items today, you're wearing a mask over your face, and you just want to get out of there and get some fresh air. And then the cashier says, if you buy one more of these, you'll save $5. What do? You're praying they don't, but they do it. They leave the line to run to the back of the grocery store to grab that thing. The cashier caught them with a sense of urgency, that split-second decision, and got them to buy. We do this all the time in e-commerce. The easy way, it's not an operational challenge to push another SKU, right? Complementary products, upsells, cross-sells. But bundles have always been a little bit harder. So we haven't done that. So you're already doing this. You're doing it with cross-sells and upsells. Try it with product bundles. It might make a difference for you. Tip four. This is tip four and tip five kind of rolling together. Tip four, you've got to actually display these. You're not going to get that traction. You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to see what works with especially different types of customers if you don't display them, if you don't push them in email, push it in social, push it in banners, or following tip number five, dedicate a page to it. Top navigation, put it there where you maybe normally have a discount section and push your product bundles. It's a much more refreshing experience than your discounts with your 20% off. Do a product bundle of the week or of a month and push it on different channels. Work with your promotions team, or if you don't have a promotions team, you know what to do. So get that done, push it out. I think it'll make a difference for you. Product bundles, so much more refreshing than your typical discounts. And yes, there are sometimes operational challenges to doing these things. Spreadsheets get a little bit confusing in what you're doing with your inventory and discounting items. And then if you want to unbundle certain things, it can be frustrating. And luckily, Skubana was built with it in mind. Our founder loved to do bundles and kits, truly believed in the profitability that could be achieved with them when he was running his own e-commerce business, and the one he still runs today. So he made sure that Skubana is a software that has a lot of product bundling features built into it. So if you get a demo from us, and please do, if you are dealing with any operational headaches, just go to skubana.com, go to get a demo and book a time with us and ask about our product bundling. I think you'll be surprised how different it is from how other people do it. So thanks for your time. I hope you got a lot out of this, and good luck.